I could hear the eerie sound of wind and rain. Okay, we're back to the room. Where did we leave off in the room? The creature outside the window like bit down on his finger, but then it cut back to the guest house, right? Once again, I hastily regained consciousness on top of the bed. The finger that the witch had bitten off was attached to my hand. It's not to say that it was all an illusion, but my finger was now attached. After all, the pain and the teeth marks, as though a witch had bitten it, were still there. And yet the window, which I had supposedly smashed, had been fixed as though it had never been broken in the first place. How can I escape from this creepy room? Why am I locked up in this eerie room all alone? I want to get out. I have to get out. Please let me out. The door was sealed with a firm chain. I could open it a crack, but only enough to peek out into the corridor at best. Even getting just a fist through it would probably be hard. The window wouldn't budge either. It was no better than a barred prison window. The bathroom didn't even have a window. The only thing that could get out of there was the water that flowed out if you turned on the tap. No matter what I do, I can't think of a way out of here. While shut up in a place like this, I truly am a prisoner. Unless someone comes from outside to save me, I won't be able to get out for all eternity. In that case, can't I just call for help? Didn't we already try that, though? Yes, the tiny gap I can make in that door must exist so that I can call for help. But can I make the words come out? Earlier I tried to call out for help, but for some reason the words couldn't escape my mouth. Maybe I was just confused. I might have lost my voice in my haste and confusion. I'll open the door and make that crack appear one more time. The warm light of the hallway flowed in, making the darkness of the room stand out all the more. Though I couldn't hear any voices, I did feel something peaceful. I'm sure everyone's in the room at the other end of the hallway, chatting happily about something. If I can just call out, surely someone will come save me. Holding back some indescribable fear, I tried yelling once more. But the result was the same. It was like trying to yell underwater. All I did was get out of breath, unable to call out in the slightest. Even though I could say as much as I wanted if I just grumbled to myself inside the room. Whenever I tried to make my voice reach outside, I choked and was unable to say anything. I understand. My body isn't the only thing locked up in this eerie closed room. My voice is too. Thinking that I could use some other kind of sound to call for help, I tried opening and closing the door violently, making the chain rattle. It does sound as though it's clanking noisily, but it's surely no good. Even this sound is being locked inside this closed room. No matter how harsh a sound I make, I'm sure it'll be quieter than a leaf falling by the time it reaches the other end of the corridor. I tried using the hateful chain that sealed the door to make a sound to call for someone. That only deepened my despair. Huh? This chain? That's insane. Just a second ago, it was a stiff chain that looked like it might be used to seal a monster away. But at some point, it transformed into a normal chain lock. This changes everything. Now I can just undo it from the inside. I tried to undo it, but the chain wasn't long enough for that, while the door was still open a crack, and I couldn't get it off. Obviously. Calm down. I gulped and calmly closed the door. Then, when I saw the chain had slackened enough, I touched it with my finger to make sure. When I was little, I hated chains, because I could never get them undone right. However, that was a long time ago. Now I can undo something like this. Anyone could. It's easy. Clank. I imagined the demon who'd locked me in this room using this as a trap to give me hope, just to make me despair even more. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting. But I pushed those thoughts aside for the time being. I undid the chain lock. And then the door's locked. And the chain dangled there right before my eyes. Now, there's no lock sealing this door. Please, Don't torment me anymore. And just open normally. Slowly, the door opened. Oh? When I closed the door to undo the chain, the warm light from the hallway got cut off. If I open it again, what if that warm light is gone this time? I was even afraid of stuff like that. However, that was just me over-imagining things. Slowly, quickly. No, I guess this is normal for a door. As the door let out an annoying creak, the exit from this cursed closed room finally opened. I did it. I did it. Even my cry of joy was strangled. But that doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is that I can get out. I poked my head out and looked left and right down the corridor. The warm corridor. I could sense people having fun at the other end. Everyone's right there. Let's go, right now. At that moment, something cold and heartless crushed my throat. Uh-oh. It was as though an iron loop had been fastened around my neck and pulled on hard from behind. No, not as though. Without my knowing, at some point, a thick metal collar had been fastened around my neck. Oh, Jesus. When did this happen? When I turned around, I despaired even more. Out from the inner side of the door I had just opened, a thick chain had extended and attached itself to this collar I was wearing. I pulled on it, but it didn't even budge. When I shook it, the whole door creaked. What the hell? The chain that connected to my collar was attached to the inner side of the door. Yes. The same vanishing chain that had secured the door a short while back had suddenly become a chain holding me in place. That's insane. That's insane. Damn it, what's going on here? I pulled with all my strength, trying to tear the whole door off. But I already knew from repeated experiments that it wouldn't even budge. I'm sure this chain will disappear once I go back inside the room. But it'll never let me leave that room. Though it had apparently turned back into a normal chain lock, nothing had actually changed. The chain lock still bound me to that room. Tears flowing down my face, I pulled with all I had. It was completely useless. No matter what I did, I'd never tear it loose. And I wasn't even permitted to call out for help. I felt a confused anger at how the demon had mercilessly made me think that I'd escape for just an instant. Yeah, I kinda figured. But no matter how much I yelled, no voice came out. No one on the other end of the corridor could hear me. Then, I noticed an odd stain on the wall of the corridor. It wasn't a stain. They were letters traced out by a finger that had been covered in red paint. Those letters, which looked like they'd been drawn in blood, answered my biggest question. The chain lock must be set. You're allowed to unset it, but it must then be reset. Unless it is set, this exit of yours will be unusable. I instantly understood the meaning of that ominous message. Then I tried it out and understood completely. When I returned to the room and reset the chain lock, the collar around my neck disappeared. When I undid the chain lock again, the heavy feeling around my neck returned. In other words, I cannot leave this room while the chain lock is still unset. In that case, why don't I just set the chain while inside the room? I undid the chain one more time. The collar and the chain appeared around my neck again. I stepped out into the corridor and closed the door behind me, leaving only the slightest of cracks. I stuck my hand through that crack, grabbed the dangling chain, and tried to reset it somehow. Damn it. It was easy to do from the inside. Why is it so hard to do from the outside? The gap needed to be wide if I wanted to manipulate the chain well. However, that made the chain too short to reach. To make the chain reach just a bit further, I'd have to close the door a little bit more. If I do that, there won't even be enough gap to fit my hand in. Chopsticks. Of course, that was perfectly natural. Chain locks are made to be used from the inside. They'd be completely pointless if you could set and unset them from the outside. That's why the length of the chain is specially chosen to prevent anyone from setting or unsetting it from the outside. Then, use some kind of hard and thin tool, chopsticks. If the gap in the door is just a finger's width across, that's more than enough for the chain to reach. If I could just bend a wire hanger so that fits through that crack, okay. I'll work the chain with that. That's right, there's a closet just to the side of the door. Could there be some hangers in there? Found them. Oh, thank God. A single cheap-looking hanger, like one you might find in a laundry room, was hanging there. Really? Very sure that when I last looked a short while ago, nothing like this was in the closet. Ah, who cares? Quickly. I twisted the wire hanger, bending the end with the tip around. I formed a loop at the end to grab at things with, making for a sort of burglar's tool. I then dashed out into the corridor again and closed the door almost as far as it would go. My wrist could never pass through this. However, if I close this much, the chain should have extra length to spare. And this crack is large enough for me to stick the hanger through. That's just a matter of technique. If I keep trying, I'll definitely be able to do it eventually. I'm certain of it. It's harder than it looks. The chain is long enough. It isn't impossible. I finally got my hands on the one way to escape. It was hard, yes, but it was theoretically impossible. Theoretically possible. If it's possible, I'll be able to get out. I'll be able to escape from here. God damn it. At that moment, I felt a heavy weight on the far side of the door. Felt as though someone inside the room had pressed their forehead against the door. It was drawing closer. And she, the witch, had laughed. Uh-oh. Then I felt a powerful and strange force on the wire hanger. She trying to grab it away from me? Yeah, right, like hell I'll let go. Like hell I'll let my one key out of here get stolen while my guard's down. Fortunately, I'd stuck my wrist through so that I wouldn't drop it if my hand got tired. I'd be able to snatch this out of my hands. The witch on the other side of the door laughed at me. Then, I noticed something weird. I looked at my left hand, which I had pressed up against the door to hold it in place. Between the fingers of that hand, I could see something red. They were red letters. I realized immediately. At some point in time, even more bloody letters had been drawn on the door. My left hand had been covering them up. Still fighting against the vice-like strength of the witch beyond the door, I moved my left hand to the side. Where the hand had been, bloody letters had indeed been drawn. And there, as though someone had predicted that I had struggled this way from the very beginning, was a message from the witch to me. It is impossible to set or unset the chain lock from the outside by any means. All tricks done from the corridor had been sealed by red letters. No way. There was suddenly a terrible sound, and the force pulling on the hanger was suddenly released. Then, when I pulled it out and looked, I lost all hope. As though it had been hit by the acid of the room's darkness. The tip of the hanger had burnt and bubbled, and melted off. Now it's pitifully short. This can't be used for anything. It'd be useless to search for a substitute. All schemes to set the chain from the outside have been prevented. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it! I threw the remnants of the wire hanger against the floor, faced the hallway with a warm light, and called for help. However, I just choked, unable to speak at all. Everyone's just down the corridor. Everything's peaceful there. I can't hear their voices, but I know. I'm sure they're all having a good time playing cards. Please, someone notice. Someone save me. Ah! Oh, that's everyone like giggling having fun in the parlor. This time it wasn't the witch's voice. It was the happy voices of everyone else, which I could hear coming from the other end of the hallway. Someone come over here and save me. Okay. Okay. Interesting.
悪いね。これで上がりだ。
So I'm guessing that, like, the whole point is that at some point in Battler's game here, he's going to come up with a closed room in an effort to stump Etika, but in that attempt, Etika's going to prove that, oh, this closed room is impossible. Like, there's no way it could be done without violating, like, one of the rules or something like that. And then, you know, Battler's going to be stuck there until he is able to figure out himself how it is able to be done in some way, shape, or form. George slammed his last card down, ending the game with his victory once again. Everyone gasped in unison. The cousin room was filled with laughter as they enjoyed their card game.
やっぱりジョージの兄貴が持ってた。憎い。スペードの6が憎い。
バートラのダイヤの8もエグかったぜ。ああ、もう悔しい。
ジョージお兄ちゃんすごい。また勝った。
そうだよ。また僕たちの。
Maria couldn't really hold her own in an all-out battle, so she had teamed up with George, which is why she was celebrating his victory.
乾杯です。
Kanon winced and let his cards drop to the table. The game of sevens between Kanon and the cousins had been a fierce battle. Normally they would take things easy since Maria was there, so this sort of game was rare. Kanon had started taking the game seriously, unwilling to lose. So George and Battler had responded and the battle had grown fierce. Unlike Battler, who was carefree enough to enjoy it whether he won or lost, Kanon's mood changed drastically with every victory and defeat. There was less of a dislike for losing and more that he just wasn't used to playing. He wasn't used to trading a few wins and losses with his opponents, so he took even losses within a game seriously. So he had resolved to win and had unfortunately challenged the veteran players, George and Battler. The result was plain to see. As Kanon slumped his shoulders, Jessica slapped him on the back.
惜しかった惜しかった。でも本気で戦うのはね。
本気だろうとそうでなかろうと結果が負けで
とんでもない。本気で戦った結果の負けならすがすがしいもんだぜ。いい加減に戦っての負けじゃ本気出してたら勝ってた云々で未練タラタラでしょ。
そうだな。全力を尽くしたやつは言い訳しない。そして結果に関わらず爽やかなもんさ。
Sure.
そうだね。そしてそういう人間が一番怖いのさ。そこから必ず何かを学び成長するからね。
確かに僕は臆病だから未だに未熟なんだ。
I am furniture, so any dreams I might have are pointless. Because he'd rigidly believed that, he distanced himself from everything, shutting himself away. However, during that same time, Shannon had undergone many life adventures, and now her hand was resting on the door separating furniture and humans. The old Kanon would only have seen this card game as a way to pass the time. However, the new Kanon was now capable of gaining something new from this experience. That's probably what it means to grow. Furniture does nothing but rot with the passage of time. The ability to grow is a privilege given only to humans.
一緒に遊んでくれてありがとう。西とか書いたり忙しかったんだろ。付き合ってくれて本当にサンキューだぜ。
いいえ僕も楽しかったです。いえこれが楽しいことなんだって僕を無理に誘ってくれて。
私たちはさ、
Yeah,
もっとも
thanks
っ
for
と
getting me to
いろい
come.
ろなことに挑戦していこう。そして君が知らなかったものを探しに行こう。それでさっきの話だけどさ、ギターとか。
Oh?
いや別に無理にとは言わないけど、
きっと難しいでしょ。
まあね。でもさ、そこは丁寧に教えるし、練習は私も付き合うから。まあ言うほど私も上手くないんだけどね。
At first, Kanon was scared that he might make a complete fool of himself if he touched a musical instrument for the first time in his life. After all, he knew that screwing up like that would make him feel bad. However, Kanon was starting to learn.
初めてで下手なのは当たり前です。それから逃げてたら永遠に何も学べない。
True.
何にも至れない。
そうさ、だからこそ人は上達を実感して面白くなるんじゃね。私だって最初はさ、右手と左手が別々に動くってだけででも少しずつコツが分かってくるとさ、だんだん当たり前になってきて。
僕もその境地に至りたいです。そのための道の一つにお嬢様との音楽活動があるなら。
本当に？
はい、きっと最初は不出来でお嬢様を失望させてしまうことでも、本気でやっての失敗。さっきお嬢様たちに教わりました。
照れるぜ。
お嬢様のことを。あなたは太陽のような人なの。こんなにもずっと近くにいたのに。
じゃあもっと好きになってもらえる。いや
It's the weird laugh. Kanon's serious and competitive words were more than enough to make Jessica shy. However, Kanon's expression unexpectedly clouded.
僕がお嬢様を好きになれる理だから。
何が？
Oh? Oh, go
お
on.
嬢様が僕を好きになる理由です。お嬢様と違い、僕今だってお嬢様に照らされなく、そんなみすぼらしい僕をお嬢様が好きになる理由が。
そんなことはないぜ。カノン君にだっていいところはいっぱいある。
恥を忍んでお聞きします。お嬢様は僕の何が気に入られたのですか？
Kanon hung his head. Since he had never learned anything on his own, he had never been able to take the initiative with her in any way. The fact that he was accepting her affection one-sidedly, unable to do anything but simply receive it, made him sad and frustrated at himself. Jessica was lost for words. After all, compared to the reason that Kanon had started to love Jessica, Jessica's reason was a lot more vague. She had heard Shannon talking about her love with George, and at school she and her friends had always talked about relationships with boys. There would have been nothing strange about a girl, fascinated by the idea of romance, developing an interest in a nearby member of the opposite sex. However, if you put that into words, it might be misinterpreted to mean that any nearby boy would have done just as well. However, she could still be proud of the feelings she felt at this very instant. She really did love Kanon, and she truly wanted to experience romance. As a result, they might end up together, or they might not. However, if she reached that result without holding back, she could accept it no matter which it was. That's why she was able to become serious and honest about how she felt. However, she couldn't find the right words to tell Kanon this. When Kanon saw Jessica bite her lower lip in frustration, he finally realized.
バカだな、僕は。僕のどこが気に入ったん？本当にバカらしいと思ったんです。自分に本気じゃないから、自分のことさえ理解できてないし、そんなことをお嬢様に言わせようとするなんて。
そんなことないよ。女の子だって男子に告白されたら最初に聞いてみたい質問、自分のどこを気に入ってか。
それを相手に尋ねる時点でそんな未熟者に気に。
いや、そうじゃなくてその。
Jessica panicked, trying desperately to explain how she felt. However, Kanon was calm, and then he spoke.
だから僕がお嬢様を好きになるように、お嬢様にもそのために僕は自分を今はまだこんな自分をお嬢様でもいつか
絶対素敵なカノン君になれるよ。私がベタベタに惚れちゃうくらいの。私はそれまでずっと一緒にいるから、時間なんていくらでもある。
Yeah, plenty of time.
ただ時間が
Yeah.
そうないのが悔やまれます。
時間って？
家具の話をするとお嬢でも話さなければ、そしてそれは僕が本気で戦わなければならないことでも。
何の話？家具だから恋ができないとか、そういう。カノン君は家具なんかじゃない。
はい、だからですがまだ家具なんで。
ならなろうよ、人間に。
かつて魔女はこの世の一なる元素、それは愛だと。それはこの世に住まう人間は当たり前のように享受でき。しかし 家具として生み出されたその当たり前でないものを得るには魔法か奇跡が必要なんです。
In just the same way that Nesan and George-sama would never have ended up as they have without borrowing the power of that golden butterfly brooch.
さっきからこれがわからないの。
何がわからぬという聞かせよ。
今回のゲームが始まり、短くない時間がシャノンやカノンの
Yeah.
恋への決意に割かれてきたわ。
Come on, Angie, get some answers for me, please.
それ自体は自らを家具と蔑んできた少年少女の、でも二人のある前提にさっきから強い違和感を覚えるの。
なぜ魔法が必要なのかであるか。
シャノンもカノンも、いえ、家具たちは最初から一貫して人間とは恋愛ができないと主張してきた。そこに黄金蝶のブローチという魔法が介在し、その魔法という奇跡の結果、ジョージお兄ちゃんとの恋愛が成立した。そう主張してるわ。
身分の違いによる許されぬ恋が実るには魔法の奇跡でもないことにはありえぬと。
そうね。だから使用人の身分であるシャノンとカノンが共に後宮家の人間に恋をし、許されざる恋に苦悩して自らを家具と卑下したとしても、
ではそなたの納得できない点とは。
再び魔法の力がなければ結婚はできない。それがシャノンとカノンの2人の共通認識になってる。これがどうしてもよく理解できないの。
After meeting in secret for quite some time, George and Shannon had finally gotten engaged. Both were fully prepared for it emotionally, and though there would be some trouble with the relatives, it would probably be impossible for anyone to prevent their marriage by this point.
結ばれようとする二人の間に立つなぞ。飛ぶ矢の前に立ちてそれを掴もうとするにも等しい。
そういうこと。伴侶を生涯守りきると誓ったジョージお兄ちゃんにとって、両親の反対や感動さえ恐れるものではない。むしろそれらさえも彼女への愛を示すちょうどいい。つまり2人は必ず結婚する。誰も拒めない。そして2人は婚約を快諾した。
誰にも拒めない。馬に蹴られてなんとやらであるな。
そう。だから不思議なの。魔法なんて必要ない。
If George and Shannon had wanted Ava's approval for their engagement, the magic might really have been necessary. After all, Ava had forbidden his relationship with her. No matter how much George spoke on Shannon's behalf, the chances of Ava being convinced were very near zero. True. If that were the case, it would be understandable if they'd wanted a magical miracle to make Ava acknowledge that engagement.
しかしジョージお兄ちゃんはきっぱりと両親に婚約を認められなくても構わないと。そう、2人の婚約を阻む理由は、そしてそれはシャノンだってよく知ってるはず。なのになぜ彼女はこの順風満帆の婚約を受けたこの夜に
魔法の奇跡を得なければ家具たちの主張であるな。
つまりこういうこと。魔法の奇跡がなければ成就されない障害が残っているとし、そしてその障害は2人の努力ではだから魔法という奇跡が必要。どうして魔法がいるの？愛し合う2人に結ばれるための他にどんな奇跡が必要だっていうの？
なるほど。
Feathering listened to Angie's interpretation, smiling in a satisfied way. Apparently she had already reached that conclusion and enjoyed watching Angie finally manage to do the same.
そしてその疑問は、ジェシカお姉ちゃんとの恋路は始まったばかりだけど何の障害もないわ。黄金蝶のブローチの力なんか関係なく、何年もの交際を経てやがては結婚に行き着いても、こっちも障害は何も存在しないのよ。
クラウスと夏日に結婚を認めさせようと思わない限り、こちらもまた魔法。
そういうこと。シャノンの生き方を見てカノンもまた、そして素直な気持ちを伝え、ジェシカお姉ちゃんと2人で必要ないのよ、もはや魔法は。片思いの相手になら恋のおまじないも必要かもしれない。でももはや両者は相思相意思も疎通できてる。なのにどうしてその上魔法の奇跡が必要なの？
Both furniture were in relationships of mutual love. There shouldn't have been any need for a miracle any longer. So why do they still desire some miracle? And on top of that, the single brooch was portrayed as bestowing only a single miracle. It felt almost as though Shannon was hesitating because if she used up that miracle for herself, Kanon's chances at love would be automatically sealed away for eternity.
つまりこういうことよ。どうして家具は恋をしてはいけないの？
魔法という奇跡なくしてはなぜ恋がいる。
そして一体何だっていうの？